Hello Dallas Makers, welcome to video 2 of Certified SolidWorks Associate Exam Prep. In this video I'm going over sketching. I start with sketch entities, line, rectangles, circles, arc, ellipses, and center lines. I go on to sketch tools like offset and convert and trim, and then add sketch relation. And at the end, I'm going over sketch dimensions. Okay, when we start with a new part, we check the units, we check the material, the first step, and we make the environment the way that we're more convenient with the formatting. The next step would be for us to create sketch before we're able to create our profile. Now, we can create the sketch on one of the planes, or we can also make it on the face of an existing part. Because we're starting from scratch, we have to make it on one of the planes. Now, if you look, there is a little arrow here. We'll click on that. Then there is the visibility column that we can go and turn on visibility of these planes. Now, depending on how it's convenient for us, usually this is easier, front plane, and make the sketch. Now we're ready to make our sketch. The first group of commands are lines. You can either type L or just click on line. In the group there is line, center line, and midpoint line. Select line. Now we can draw a line in many different ways. And we can start with, as a sketch, we can go with a horizontal, vertical, or in a specific angle. We can change it to, for construction, we can make it infinite length that is used for reference and midpoint line. So the first way is that we click, drag, and let go. Makes one line. Now it can be in different angles. Drag and let go. You see, as we go, it gives us some dashed line as a guide. Like if we want to line it up with the start of that, click, drag, and the end is aligned with end point, aligned with this end point, or with both end points. When it's horizontal, there is a yellow horizontal symbol. When it's vertical, it's a vertical symbol. And it's coincident with other lines, so it actually shows that also in yellow. If it is perpendicular to other line, highlights that line and it shows that this is perpendicular. Now, the point of click, hold, and drag is that now you have only one line. So, click, drag, let go. This is one line. The other way is the same way. Click and you let it go without dragging, and then you create your part. It starts making lines after line until you come back to the beginning, which ends the command. Doesn't end the command, ends the chain of line. Or the other way to end the chain would be if you're making something zigzag and I'm done here, you move away and double click. Okay, so there are two ways of ending the chain. One is going down and at the end you drag and let go, or you go 1, 2, 3, and 4, and at the end you double click and it ends the chain. If you pay attention, as you create these lines, it's going to create those relationships automatically. So, for example, when I go down here, it's the yellow vertical symbol that shows up. This means that it automatically creates a vertical relation to this line. See, now that yellow is created. Now, I can go here and make this line perpendicular to that line. As soon as this line is selected, okay, it has a hard time. No, showed it. Okay, perpendicular. See, that's the yellow perpendicular symbol. As soon as it created the line, it created that perpendicular symbol. There is some suggested that will not be applied. Like this point is horizontal to that endpoint far away. That relation will not be created. That's not the yellow one. So I click on it. Vertical is created, but that horizontal was just a suggestion. Now, there are some cases that you don't really want that relation to be created. Like if you have a very busy sketch that's going everywhere and you want to add some lines to it and you don't really want those relations to be added. So when you click the first, you hold the control key. There are no relations here. As long as you're holding down the control key, you can add this and there will be no relations added. Here, going back, it shows some, suggests some, but doesn't really create that. So the way to get rid of that automatic relation creation is hold down the control key. With the same line command, we can start creating arcs. So for example, we're going straight here and we want to create an arc here. There are two ways of creating an arc. Going back to here and coming up. This creates an arc. Now, after I click on that one, it goes back to the line. Now I go down in the line. The other, again, I can make another arc by going back there and create an arc. Other way, it would be I go down here and instead of going back, I will right click and say switch to arc. Now, this arc is either tangent to that line or perpendicular. So this has the limitation that you can't come off in an angle. It's either tangent or perpendicular. Imagine now I do the perpendicular, I go off of that line. The other way of creating an arc is just type A. So now I'm in an arc. And if I want to go back to line, all I have to do type L and then I will go back to line. Okay, correction, type A. So we go from line, we go back to arc, we want to go back to line, type A. And then it's a line. Type A again, it's an arc. A, back to line. Now, I showed there are three options here. We can create all these three options from this command. So I go back to line. If I create that for construction, we're making a construction line. Construction lines are normally not a part of the geometry. We just use it to control something. Like for example, if I'm making, let me turn off this construction line. If I'm making a geometry that looks like this, and I go back and make it like a tombstone, and what I really want to control is the height of that, I go create a construction line. At that point, there are other ways, but probably I'm going to use, I make it for construction. So this is not going to be used for my future. I just probably used it for making like a dimension to that tangent line. There are other ways of doing this, but this is just an example to show that we're using that reference or for construction line to control something else. Or I might use the construction line for construction to go from middle of this point to that center just to control that how vertical it is. Another way. Or I can dimension from that to this edge, and then this geometry is going to be always symmetric around that line because I did constrain that to the midpoint. So construction lines are not used for creating geometry, but they're used for controlling geometry. And the only way to do that, you come here, you change it to for construction. Now from here on, your lines are going to be construction line until you go back and uncheck that one. Midpoint line, it's here too, but you can just create it from here. A line that starts from midpoint. Starts here, midpoint, and goes out. This is normally used, just you want a line of symmetry and you want to start it from middle point. It is symmetric around the midpoint during the creation, and you will find applications for it, and when you do, that's how you create that. And another way of doing that is that if I have a line, I go with midpoint, I select midpoint of this. Now we have two lines that are constrained at the middle, because now it created that automatically constraint that these two lines are tied to each other. There are applications for that, and when you come across it, you know what to use. Finally, I want to just start the command center line, just to show that all the options that you had for line now are available. If you turn this off, you're actually making normal lines. So this is another way of creating line, but you can just go and start from that, or you can just start a line and mark it for construction. And the last command in the line is midpoint line. I already explained it. You can come here, turn it off. Again, you're going to have the normal line. And SolidWorks crashed. Now, it's a nice case to know what happens when SolidWorks crashes. Well, it's going to happen depending on your hardware, software, the version. It can happen more or less often. But now you have the option of defining that, yes, I've seen this before. No, this was new. I don't know. And if you pick I don't know, you can run SolidWorks diagnostic. You can go to online support, or you can restart SolidWorks from here. So I would like to restart SolidWorks from here, and I know that my graphic card is not the best graphic card, and that's the reason it fell. Okay, SolidWorks started again, and I'm done with line. The next one would be rectangles.